We saw a match between Buddy Rose and Jimmy Snuka, where Rose apparently at the end of the match was cut badly and bled a lot. Now, I happen to believe that he wasn't really cut. Is it possible that a promoter or a manager or a wrestler would do something like that just for the sake of performing?
Anything is possible. Anything is possible. I've also heard, and this is something I wouldn't testify to in court, that a wrestler will put a piece of razor blade on his hand with a piece of tape, wipe it across his forehead, and cut himself. If you've ever seen anybody cut on the forehead, they'll bleed like a stuck pig. All your veins are right on top of between your forehead and your skull. They're very shallow, and you'll bleed quite a bit. Again, I don't know that that's a fact, but they're still athletes, and wrestling is still a sport. It's not it may not be a full contest sport where the outcome is not prearranged, because they can prearrange the outcome of wrestling in California.
Ultimately, of course, it's those who care about pro wrestling, the fans, who have the right to decide if it's real or just entertaining. And for some, it didn't seem to matter much either way.
What you see out there going on in the ring, is that phony or is that real?
No, real. It's mainly phony. Yeah, mainly phony. Yeah.
Doesn't much matter to you?
No, I'm just foolish. Yeah, just foolish.
But I think once the night was gonna go on with Jimmy Snuka and Buddy Rose, gonna be for real.
Maybe on TV it's phony, but it's not phony here.
We try to keep it on a clean plane to where no one will get hurt. And I think that the Boxers and Wrestlers Welfare Fund, which pays for the injuries sustained by wrestlers, will bear out that there are very few injuries in wrestling. Once in a while, a guy might accidentally get a tooth loosened or a bridge broke or something like that. But as far as serious injuries is concerned, there are very few serious injuries in wrestling.
Despite its violent appearance.
That's right, despite its apparent violence. I've seen Red Bastien was wrestling in Sacramento one night. I happened to be there. He was wrestling Ray Stevens when Ray was the top bad guy in California. And they carried Bastien out on the stretcher as part of the show, I guess. But I went back to the dressing room, and Ray wasn't hurt at all. Red wasn't hurt at all. Got off the stretcher, so they got back to the dressing room laughing and carrying on. Well, they put out a report that he went to the hospital. And I must have received 50 calls the next day from the fans, wanting to know how bad he was hurt. And I tried to tell them he wasn't hurt, they wouldn't believe it. Oh, he's in the hospital, he's in the hospital. But he wasn't in the hospital. He wrestled the next night somewhere.
So what does it tell you? That people really want to believe that the mayhem is happening, or that they don't believe it and therefore can play?
Well, some of them want to believe it. They believe it's actually happening.
And they want to believe it.
And those people, you cannot tell them that wrestling is an exhibition and that the wrestler wasn't really hurt. That was a part of the show.
Finally, I want to mention that I wasn't allowed to go up into Buddy Rose's locker room after the match to check out my suspicions. But I feel that in order to go along with the idea that pro wrestling is for real, requires a certain amount of suspension of disbelief, which of course is essential to enjoy any form of theater. We'll be right back.